Okay. It's this meets that. We made it this far. We've done it. We did it. I'm Russ, and I'm here with my co-host Jared. As
Other host.
Other host. Sorry, co-host implies that you're lesser than the
Exactly.
main.
Yeah.
Right,
Thank
sorry.
you.
Other host, Jared, co-founder, if you will, or other founder.
Yeah. Other founder.
Founder, the founder's founder. And we made it through 6 episodes. And here we are. What are we talking about for our 6th episode, Jared?
We have Show Dogs, one that I was pushing really hard for, and I'm glad I did.
To the point where I was like, okay.
Yeah, I believe you said we were going to be punching down a lot, and then changed your tune.
I changed my tune to this deserves some punching.
I mean, the tagline really says it all, right? Unleashed and undercover. Like, what?
Yeah.
What more do you need?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the reason why I thought we were punching down a bit, it technically is a family movie and for kids.
Sure. And my thing is family movies should still be good. Like there are a lot of good family movies. It doesn't need to be crappy because it's for kids. And I went into this thinking it was going to be crappy. Instead, I thought I can't wait for Show Dogs too. So
right.
Yeah, so you want me to read
give us the log line. Give us a quick spin of what we're talking about.
Yeah, so you gave me 2 of these, and I did not preview them ahead of time, but I think I'm going to like the second one more. So after a failed attempt to recover a stolen baby panda, police dog Max reluctantly teams up with a human FBI agent named Frank, which I think is really good to mention now because I did not remember Will Arnett's character was named Frank until maybe 3/4 of the way through at the end when he's like, oh, I think I've heard Frank the most. You're like, wait, his name was Frank?
The entire time?
Yeah. So I'm glad we called that out at the beginning. A hot tip leads Max and Frank to Las Vegas for the world's most exclusive dog show.
Ooh, intrigue.
To find the panda, Max goes undercover as a contestant to get the lowdown from his fellow canines. With help from their new friends, the crime-fighting duo must now foil another kidnapping plot and rescue valuable animals from a gang of greedy smugglers.
And if you're wondering how a panda gets involved with the dog show, you're going to have to keep listening.
I mean, it sounds like a rip-roaring good time.
Plenty of hijinks, I think, right?
So many hijinks.
Ugh. So some of the quick info on this one, directed by Raja Gosnell.
Yep. Big fan of the Gosnell verse.
Yeah, the Goss, not the other Goss. So his list of credits here include Home Alone 3, possibly the best of the Home Alones.
Also, possibly the only non-dog related movie that he has done.
And of course, yeah, that's right. Well, he's got 2 in there. Yeah, Home Alone 3. Yeah, and I said it with biting sarcasm there. Never Been Kissed. That's with.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
I haven't either.
Oh, well, I guess we're not qualified to talk about it.
Here we are not. We're not really qualified to talk about anything, but whatever. Big Mama's House. Did you see that?
No.
Is that a Tyler Perry?
That's what I thought.
I think so. Scooby-Doo 1 and 2.
Yep. We're getting to the dog movies.
Dog movies. Beverly Hills Chihuahua.
Yep. So wait, do you say Chihuahua?
Chihuahua.
Interesting. I heard someone say Chihuahua for the first time the other day, and I was pretty rattled about it. Chihuahua.
Chihuahua?
Yeah, Chihuahua. There's A's. It's not. Where are you getting the wow?
Chihuahua?
Yeah.
Chihuahua. Okay, yeah, I buy that. I mean,
so I don't know. It was interesting. I'm glad that you said it that way because it validated that other person.
Well, now I won't feel like an idiot or be an unknown idiot saying Chihuahua. Yeah. Chihuahua.
Yeah, keep this in the podcast.
Oh, this is staying in. And then he rounded out his credits with the Smurfs 1 and 2 as well.
Mm-hmm. Which I don't think are dog related, but I also haven't seen them enough to know. So
they're live action CGI.
Wait, no.
Yeah.
CGI. Wait. They're live action.
It's like, yeah, well, like what every movie people say is like, we're gonna make a live action version of this, but it's like actually still CGI animated, but you have like live actors in it.
I thought they were like cartoons. The Smurfs movies have people in them?
Yeah, Smurfs 1 and 2. Yeah. Isn't what's his face from The Simpsons, the guy who voiced like every character on there? I think he plays Gargamel.
Wait a second. And there's a third one? They got rid of him for the third one?
Yeah.
Were they so unhappy with how he did on 1 and 2?
Yeah.
Oh, this looks atrocious.
Yes.
We should do the Smurfs.
Maybe in a coming up episode. Yeah, isn't what's his face there?
Neil Patrick Harris.
Oh, he's in it?
Yeah. Well, he's in one of them. I don't know. I'm looking at a picture of Neil Patrick Harris right now.
We're getting wildly sidetracked here, but it's fine. These are things that happen, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's our podcast.
It happens when you record things live, you know?
Yeah, we can do whatever we want.
That I'll edit later. So this movie actually has like a lot of decent actors in it.
Yes, and that's why I insisted that we do it, because I was like, the cast is so good, the reviews are so bad. There has to be something going on here.
There has to be a good middle ground here. So you got Will Arnett as Frank, the FBI guy. You got Ludacris, who's the voice of Max the dog.
Right.
Natasha Lyonne, she's plays one of the dog groomers, right?
Yeah, amazing actress. She's great.
Yeah, she's awesome. I actually saw her speak at a thing one time. It's great.
Weird. Cool.
Stanley Tucci, completely.
Yeah, you can't have a movie without Stanley Tucci.
Without the Tucci?
In general.
I mean, without the Tucci, you have to have the Tucci. Shaq, a.k.a. Shaquille O'Neal.
Right, which again, you can't have a movie without Shaq. At least a mention of Shaq. If he can be in it, better.
And Gabriel Iglesias, Alan Cumming, who's also a great actor.
Yep.
RuPaul, Anders Holm, Blake Anderson, and Kate. I'm gonna pronounce this wrong, probably. Masucci, whatever.
Masucci. Who knows? Yep. Sorry. Apologies to Kate.
Don't worry, she's never gonna listen to this.
She might.
Yeah, you know. So yeah, loaded cast, I would say, right? I mean, there's nothing.
Yeah, unbelievable cast.
I mean, that might be a bit much, but
what are you talking about? These are all stars. Like, how bankable is Will Arnett? He's in a million things. He's on primetime TV now for the Lego show there that I love. Did you watch the Lego show? It's so good.
No.
Oh man, it's Lego Masters. That's the name of it. It's amazing. He's the host of that. Ludacris, super bankable, like, you know, still featuring on a song here and there.
Fast and Furious movies ever, right?
Sure.
Isn't he in all those? Anyways.
Yeah, Natasha Lyonne she's been in a ton of good stuff over the last 5 to 10 years.
Oh yeah.
Orange is the New Black and like.
Oh yeah, that's right. And then Russian Doll, right?
Yeah, amazing. So I'm saying all-star cast. Shaq does not show up unless you are the general or Ben Gay. Like, he is selective, you know?
He's very choicey in his parts. So okay. So screenwriters, just two guys I don't think anyone's ever heard of, Max Botkin and Mark Hyman, but it's important to note that because there's part of the Fast Facts, which is going to be a little intense, a little dark.
True.
We're going to get there.
And apologies to you, Max and Mark, when you listen to this for what Russ just said. I'm sure someone's heard of you.
Hey, no one's heard of us. No one cares.
Yeah, so far. That's what I'm saying. Don't burn bridges before we even get this off the ground. What if we need these guys?
I'm just saying, like, they haven't written much, haven't done much. I mean, they did this. Whatever. Okay.
They're going to do our biopic about this podcast.
I'm being a little negative here, aren't I? I'm starting off on a negative foot here. I'll scale it back a notch.
Buck up.
Yeah. I don't know. It's raining out. So Crazy Facts, so we got production numbers. So the budget for this was $5.5 million.
Yep. And tell me how much money it made.
It made worldwide $40 million.
Amazing. Yeah, this movie's incredible. That's wildly profitable. Somehow they must have paid Will Arnett like $20,000. Like, I don't.
Well, after you watch this movie, you understand, like, everyone in here other than Natasha Lyonne and Will Arnett everyone else is they're just voice acting. So they came in and probably did like a half a day's worth of work, which is, probably not a ton. They probably still make a shit ton of money, but in terms of movie budget, it's probably pretty low.
Right. Plus there's so many of them that like each of them have maybe 5 minutes of screen time. So there's so little actual lines being delivered
Yeah.
by any one person.
Right. Probably most of the budget was probably all the animal trainers and shit. Like, I mean, there were a lot of dogs on the set there, but
Yeah, and the CGI was something else.
don't even get me started.
Yeah, we'll get into it.
We'll get into it. Cool. So that's where we're set up here. All right, pitch me this movie, man.
Here's what I got for you: Zootopia meets Ride Along. Both of these buddy cop movies. One of them animals, one of them not. But it's got all of the amazing humor of Ride Along, coupled with the heartwarming moments from Zootopia. This movie was, I'd say, incredible must-watch for all families.
I don't know what your agenda is here with this.
Just like Zootopia and Ride Along, I think are also both must-watch movies.
I mean, Zootopia definitely. I don't think I saw Ride Along, but
oh, you're missing out. Yeah, Kevin Hart's finest.
Okay. Whew. I went with it's K9 meets Beverly Hills Chihuahua.
Okay, very animal.
I mean, I used the director's other movie he made, but
right.
You get the K9 classic, Belushi, German Shepherd, buddy cop dog movie.
Yep. Can't beat it.
And then Beverly Hills Chihuahua, which I never saw. So,
I mean, me neither. So wait, how do you? All right, so you're doing a this meets that with a movie you've never seen.
Yeah, why not?
Oh, come on.
Why not?
What's your leg to stand on there?
Like I literally looked at the poster of the movie and I was like, yeah, this is probably just the same thing.
Yeah, this is probably that.
It's probably this is probably that. That's probably talking real. It's like real dogs with like stupid talking animation mouths. Yeah, this is probably about right.
Yeah, it's like K9 meets Turner and Hooch.
It's like this director is like, man, I didn't quite nail it with Beverly Hills Chihuahua there, so let me try again with Show Dogs.
Yeah, worth it. I'm glad you did.
All right, so we're gonna start diving into. Let's get to fast facts. Fast facts.
Yeah, fast facts. So hard to find fast facts for this one, except
most darkest fast fact we may ever talk about.
What a controversy for such a profitable, great, well-written movie. So apparently it was released and then very quickly had to be edited and re-released because audiences were concerned that the movie was normalizing child grooming.
Well, there's one particular scene in the movie.
Right. So when he's getting like checked out and they're doing the usual, dog stuff, like looking at his teeth and lifting up his ears and whatnot, apparently there's also a part of that scene where the judge is inspecting Max's genitals, and one of the other champion dogs is like, just go to your Zen place. Like, this will be over soon. Don't worry. And like, someone who wrote this movie thought that was a good idea. And apparently got through all the way to the final production.
Yeah, like all the way to like that's I think the other uncomfortable part is like someone wrote this like, all right, whatever. It's like I mean I get did maybe you get the joke? I don't know. I mean I get the joke, but
yeah, but presumably somebody edited this and was like, oh no, that stays. Good idea.
That's gonna stay in there. Yeah, no one's gonna have any problem with that. Remember, this is a movie for fucking kids right now.
Yeah. So needless to say, parents were not psyched about.
Nope. And actually, they edited out within the next week. I think like the first initial week that came out, right? And then they edited it for like the following. And
it still made $39 million.
Still made $39 million
because it's good.
That's what, almost eight times its budget.
Yeah.
Oh, quick math there. Look at us doing math.
Wildly profitable.
So this whole thing, this is a whole controversy. It's kind of interesting that this is the only thing that's popped up, but it's crazy. And it even led to one of the co-screenwriters, Max Bodkin, came out and said he claimed that he didn't write these scenes. Of course, that's the first thing you'd probably say. Right. And then he claims the movie was heavily rewritten by the other credit writer, Mark Hyman, and then like 12 other uncredited writers. Like.
Yeah. Nothing suspicious about that.
Nothing suspicious about that. I would say I mean, it's definitely less suspicious than the 50 producers on the Speed Kills thing. Like that's definitely
Sure.
a money laundering movie, but this is a little.
Oh yeah, no, this is a legit pick. Will Arnett is not getting into some kind of money laundering scheme.
No, we're gonna uncover
Like
that.
John
though.
Travolta would.
Yeah, we're gonna uncover that though. I think in following episodes. But anyways,
Yep.
yeah. So that's a dark place. A little fast fact there.
Yeah. And that's it. That was really all we could find.
Yeah.
Nothing else interesting happened about this movie.
But it still made $39 million.
Yeah. Oh, no. So I guess a little bit of fast fact. I did read somewhere that, remember the doggy date scene on the roof there?
Mm.
They're cutting to the picnic and they show like all the food on the picnic blanket. And then I guess when they cut to it a second later, all the stuff's gone. Like little mistake.
Ah, goof. I like it.
Little goof. Yeah.
I like goofs. I like finding goofs. I love those. I like that. That's good.
The final fast fact.
Maybe we should have fast goofs.
We'll workshop that.
We'll workshop. We'll audience test it. All right. So yeah, let's get into this. And to be warned, from this point on, spoilers galore. If you're worried about show dogs being spoiled and you're worried about the twists and turns that this movie takes.
Yeah, if you listened to the trailer trash that we did last time about this and you didn't watch it,
shame on
you. Shame.
Shame.
Curse on your house.
We're throwing tomatoes at you and lettuce. Rotten lettuce. It's going to be bad rotten lettuce.
Yeah, and if you did and you watched it and you loved it like I did or didn't love it like Russ, then you'll enjoy the rest.
Yeah, and I think that's it.
So, let's talk about the beginning here. These pigeons.
All right. Should I talk about my weird gaffe with Amazon Prime there?
Yeah, why not? Look, pull back the curtain, Russ.
I mean, I can edit this out later. I don't know.
Oh, don't edit this.
No.
Yeah, this is a window into your life.
Go into my yes. So I started the movie, and it opens with the Universal logo, right? We all know and love. And there's someone narrating what I'm seeing, and they're like, "Stars."
Wait a second. So,
what?
There's a vocal narration. I thought you were talking about like a closed caption that said this.
No, it was a vocal narration.
Okay, yeah, you definitely had on the assistants, yeah.
Which I'd never heard of, and I was like, obviously, didn't know it existed on Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
and apparently it was on. I don't know why. I have absolutely no idea what that feature be on, but it was English with audio description.
Love it.
And it was basically just describing all of the production logos, and I was like, "This is what is this intro?" I thought it was like leading to a joke, and then it never did. And I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be a problem." So I don't know. That's how my movie started.
So then we get to the pigeons. Who I thought were going to be the star of the movie. It's called Show Dogs. I was like, oh, maybe that was a trap.
Yeah, I mean, so it opens on a couple pigeons flying through the sky. They're talking about being on a case with a dog, right? They're flying up to a dock area, right?
Yep.
Which is where most shady crimes happen.
Yep.
They're chatting around about a dog, Max, right?
Yep. They're apparently best friends.
Yep. They're all best friends, apparently.
Yep. I immediately was endeared to them. I feel like they were making a bunch of funny jokes. I'm glad I found out later that it was Anders Holm and Blake Anderson there. And I already forgot her name, damn it. Kate Masucci. They were great. They were super entertaining, super fun, great with dog puns immediately. Everything about it, loving.
Because you love a good dog pun, don't you?
I love dog. Do you not love dog puns?
I don't know if I've encountered enough to really either fall in love or out of love with them, but
yeah, they're just palling around. But at the same time, Max, who we haven't been introduced to formally yet, is looking at a boat. Like you can tell, he's trying to do some detective work. He's like roaming around.
Yeah. Dog means you. Yep.
Sure, but you can tell he's a detective dog.
Well, yeah, because he's got the badge around his neck for,
Right. Spell it out for me.
Right.
I have to know. And then, in witnessing a crime happening, he's seeing things being loaded off of a boat. They're getting loaded into a car.
Yep.
Lots of suspicious activity.
And then there's a cage, though, placed on the ground between two henchmen, I believe.
Yep.
And then the curtain pulls up, and we've got a panda inside a fully CGI panda inside the cage. Adorable.
My first thought is they spent all of the CGI budget on they spent all the CGI budget on the panda.
And then you thought,
yeah,
well up and cry because it's adorable panda.
Right, because it's the cutest panda of all time.
Yeah.
And so the dog's talking to the panda, and you're like, okay, I guess in the universe that we're in, pigeons and dogs and pandas all can talk to each other. A lot of cross-animal communication happening.
Yep.
Totally fine.
No apps needed. Yep.
And then he goes after the driver of the sketchy car, which is Will Arnett in a fantastic costume.
It's like like he bought it at like a Halloween costume shop, and it's like I'd like to be an old Nordic dock worker look.
Oh, I thought it was great. I thought it was perfect. Really, like the mustache seemed real to me.
So if you're like a mega criminal, you're like, I need a driver, you would hire that guy?
Yeah, in a heartbeat. I'd be like, you know what? You look like a trustworthy dock worker.
If that guy showed up, like, I don't know how the hiring process works for henchmen, drivers, but if he showed up and was like, yeah, I'll be your driver, I'm pretty good. Here are my stats,
Sure.
Minimal car accidents.
That's exactly how it goes.
Yeah, I once escaped a chase from Jason Bourne. It's like, oh, that's pretty good, or something like that. But the beard and the mustache and the hat, I'd be like, I don't know. Those look a little fake.
Disagree. And then we get into the first confusing element of this movie, I think, which is it seemed to me that Will Arnett and Max the dog are having a conversation.
When Will Arnett's character hops out, who is undercover FBI agent.
We don't know that yet.
Trying to you don't know this yet. Of course, but whatever. They're loading up the panda into the back of the car. Will Arnett's character pops out, and the dog Max jumps on him, takes him down, and it seems like they're talking to each other. I thought.
They're definitely talking to each other.
Yeah,
I think the way that this movie was written was they wrote it that they were talking to each other, and then they're like, that's kind of dumb. Let's not do that the rest of the movie.
Let's just stop that right now. Like it was like too much of a strain to ask Will Arnett to like act like talking to a dog. It was like, let's just have it be like inner thoughts that are happening.
Yeah, you're like, you know what? Let's scrap that, but let's make sure we keep that touching the dog's junk. Let's keep that in.
Yeah,
that's a good scene.
Yeah, we're gonna keep that one and go to your Zen moment about all of this. So they have a little battle. Max pulls off his disguise. Crazy. Oh no. Bad guys freak out. They're terrible henchmen. There's only 2 of them or 3 of them anyways, right?
At best.
I don't even remember.
Who knows?
And then we get like...
They don't factor in at all. So.
No, so the main villain guy, I think hops in the car and drives off. Will Arnett's still on the ground. Then we get one henchman who like freaked out, crazily freaked out. It's like, dude, relax. It's just a dog. And he freaks out and just starts running. Yep. And then we get like a weird. We had another dog that the henchman brought on to ski in the docks, right? And that gives us our first dog on dog CGI fight, which lasts like half a second.
Yep. And they also talk. They talk to each other. So you're like,
it's
okay.
Bad. They say some bad lines to each other. Max just boots him right off into the water. He's like, boom, we're done. Yep. Conversation is over.
Presumably that dog died. Like we never saw that dog again.
I mean, I don't even know if he knows how to swim.
Probably not.
Where's he gonna get up?
Yep. So then there's a chase.
Then there's the chase, right? And before the chase, we pan back to the pigeons were there, and they're like, "Yeah." One's like, "I'm pretending I know what's going on right now." And I was like, "Yeah, me too, man. This is a perfect line." I mean, this movie very much embraces itself as being, it's a kids movie.
And that's what I loved about it is that it was very self-aware. I feel like there were so many times where they were like, "Oh, well, this is a movie we're in."
Yeah, pretty much, right? Like, yep. Guess we're all getting paychecks at the end of the day.
Yeah. So I think you're going to turn around on this movie by the time we're done.
I think I might too. So then we get into a crazy chase. Max the dog is chasing after the henchman down an alleyway. We got Will Arnett chasing behind him,
struggling to keep up.
He's talking into his watch like he's Dick Tracy or something. I don't know who he's talking to.
Yeah, very Bond-esque. I think they want us to think the FBI is like it's like not just Cops Plus.
Yeah. Yeah, and they got like these cool gadgets. Which,
I don't know.
The
FBI is not the CIA. I don't know.
No, definitely not. But I don't know. Maybe they got cool gadgets. Who knows?
Sure.
Max is ahead of him, trash talking him the entire way, which I still think that Will Arnett can understand the trash talk that the dog is giving him.
Yeah, it seems like it.
But he's not. So now this has a completely different thought to they changed my perspective on the opening of this movie now, right?
Yep. Oh, totally. Yeah. Max
knocks over you're supposed to be in the same team. You got an NYPD dog and you got an FBI guy. Like, come on, you're trying to catch bad guys. Let's work together here.
I mean, I want it on my record,
Max knocks over a trash can. Will Arnett's character, Frank, we should call him Frank, I guess, has a really hard time dodging this trash can, which is
trips hilariously.
Yeah, it's like, did you pass? Like, there's a training course I think you have to go through, like, to get to the FBI. Like,
yeah, it's probably not as hard as you think.
Dude, did you watch the beginning of Silence of the Lambs?
Oh, right. You mean the fact-based Silence of the Lambs?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. Yeah, you're right. You're totally right.
Yes, the movie was based on a true story. You know people eat people, right?
Yes, I'm sure they pulled exactly from the FBI training.
I think if there's anything in that movie they should have gotten right, it would have been that. Or I mean, acting, real. But that's not true. People do eat. Anyways, all right, we're getting off something.
Regardless. Regardless of whether Chianti is a good pairing for people. Anyway, so Will Arnett then tries to murder Max the dog by barreling into him with a car, sideswiping him. Somehow this is their first real good foray into wild CGI of Max jumping over the car.
Spin move.
Yeah, somehow being a super acrobat and dodging this unquestionable death.
Which I'm going to throw out there. Great filmmaking, great director, foreshadowing for what he can.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're right. Great. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Great point. Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Right?
But yeah, and then we never talk about that again. Will Arnett tried to kill the main character of this movie.
Yep. He tried to run over a dog.
It's never been addressed.
No one talked about it.
Heartbreaking.
I don't think any CGI, by the way, no CGI dogs were hurt in the making of this film, I don't think.
No, that was one of the IMDb trivia lines was no any kind of animals, CGI or otherwise, were harmed in the making of the film.
That's great.
Yeah.
Go animals.
So, yeah, we're a pro-animal podcast, Russ. God damn it.
I love dogs. Are you kidding me? So I thought I'd like this movie more, but anyways.
Yeah.
We get some good cheesy lines in the opening. So they catch the guy who's running down the alley there, right? Will Arnett's character's got him. He's cuffing him up. We get a face off though between Max the dog and the criminal,
right? Who also seem like they understand each other.
Yep.
As Max is talking to him.
He's literally talking to him, and he's like, "Oh no," freaking out. And Max drops a great 80s kill line here, time to take a bite out of crime.
Oh yeah, Scruff McGruff over here.
Yeah, right. Oof, nice play, well played.
Chicago, Illinois, 60652. Shout out to Chicago, Illinois.
Wow, look at you. And then Will Arnett comes in, almost runs him over, and then they got a suspect in custody, and then we jump right back to New York, NYPD, right?
Yeah, which is a treat. What a weird scene this is.
Well, this is where it gets really confusing if the dogs and people can talk to each other.
Yeah, because there's this other dog that's all of a sudden introduced to us, and then also never in the movie again, called Sarge, who you assume is probably in charge of something.
Sarge, right?
Yeah, I guess. They're having a side conversation while the FBI and the NYPD are arguing about whose jurisdiction is who for this animal crime.
Yep.
Getting into pet detective territory over here.
A little bit.
And Will Arnett's this is the first time when I'm like, oh, wait a second, they can't talk to each other, because Will Arnett just goes, why are the dogs in this meeting? What's happening in this town? I was like, thank you for saying what we're all thinking again.
Yeah. Very self-aware, but yeah.
And then they just proceed to like rattle off a bunch of animal crimes. You're like, what about those sloths that like murdered that guy, or that that elephant that got transported, like illegally smuggled from wherever? You're like, okay, this is a big problem in this universe.
Yeah, I mean, he's right. They're just dogs. And why is this dog just running around town, just doing whatever he wants?
Yeah, and I think this is my biggest gripe with the movie / the Gosnellverse in general, is Scooby-Doo can talk to Shaggy.
Right?
As far as I'm concerned, yeah, why can't they talk?
Right. Break that wall, you know?
Yeah, like you've already done it. Let's do it again.
Right. Just stick with it, you know?
Right. So then this meeting breaks up. Sarge, never to be seen again, is like, all right, like, don't worry, Max, I'll see you shortly. Like, he's like, oh, I'll be right there.
Well, from this meeting though, is this where we get where they got to team up, or is that after the interrogation?
Oh no, that's after the interrogation.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. So they go to the interrogation, which is just Frank, Will Arnett's character, goes in to talk to the criminal they caught from the beginning.
Right. Well, along the way though, he meets Sparky the bomb dog,
which
also important character that never shows up again, who is definitely Tweak from South Park.
And one of the best things ever. It's like this, what are they, like a Greyhound or something. And it's like really shaky, and it's got like the bomb vest on. It's like, what a, right. That was funny.
The most neurotic, yeah. Yeah. So anyway, then we get to the interrogation. Go on.
Yeah, so we get the interrogation. Will Arnett's character's in there, you know, fumbling around kind of. It's weird because like they try to, it's like, is he supposed to be like the bumbling kind of idiot FBI guy?
I don't, like, they make him at some point in the movie, they make him into like a super cop, and then at other points they're like, oh nope, he's just like a bumbling idiot.
Yeah. It's like, you know, maybe the dog is supposed to fill the gaps where he's missing or something. I don't know. It's just kind of weak. It's like, make him one thing or the other, you know?
Yeah, and it's not like he's like interrogating some kind of, like, he's not interrogating Hannibal Lecter over here. This criminal is awful. Like, he's just like, one of my favorite lines is, you know, illegal pandas look a lot like legal pandas. And you're like, why would you admit that you even had a panda at all? Like,
that makes sense.
You're not a good criminal.
You're a terrible henchman.
And then immediately, so I don't, you didn't write it down, so I'm assuming you missed it. The Lego Batman plug.
Oh, I heard it and was like, I don't know, is this really happening? Is this real life?
Yes, and I also love how the creators of this movie seemingly are insistent that Lego Batman is the only thing Will Arnett is known for. Because every reference to Will Arnett is a
Batman.
Lego Batman. Yeah, like in the guy just says, like, he's like, oh, like, look at you, like, spinning Lego man. And I'm like, wait a second.
What?
That's not an expression. And then Will Arnett turns around and he's like, what did you just say?
It's definitely very self-aware and definitely like, yeah. So,
but the reason why I noted it also is because then right afterwards is when they give immediately after is the self-aware Max going, this is Ludacris.
Voiced by Ludacris. Yep.
Right.
Yeah. It's like a little heavy-handed with all the self-awareness, like all in one, like 2-minute span. It's like, all right, kind of space out a little bit.
I loved it. Yeah, and then like, you know, the rest of the interrogation carries on. It's not that interesting. There's like the whole bit about you know, Max intimidating the witness there from behind the glass, and Will Arnett not really knowing and being like, oh, like, look at what a good interviewer I am.
I'm crushing it here.
Yeah, got all the answers out of him. And then and the guy, speaking of the henchman being a bad henchman, just like reveals the entire plan.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Immediately.
Just spills the beans, just all over the floor, and is also like, the dog is behind like a glass, like he's not even in the room with him.
Nope. Not that scary.
No.
So then it cuts back to the office here, where it's the FBI and the NYPD again trying to work together, trying to figure out a plot.
And they're like, NYPD chief's office. Yep.
And it's like, actually, like, they did I feel like it's a kind of a well thought out crime. Like they're talking about animal smuggling, like, the world's largest animal show, where they're doing like, tech titans and Chinese billionaires smuggling animals. And now here's my first not being able to hear well for this movie. I don't know. I should have turned on the captions. I thought it was the Canadian dog show. The first couple times I said it, I was like, oh, okay. Then why are they in New York? Like what? All right. Yeah. It was very confusing. I didn't understand what was going on.
Did you figure it out? Because I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, so later on, I think I finally figured. I think it's canini.
Oh, the canini.
Yeah, like canine.
Panini.
Like a panini and a canine, I think.
Got it.
Because I thought at some point, I wrote it other places. There are like 4 other things that I thought it was. No clue. Thought Canadian for a long, long time. So like I think I haven't yet. It's not even that far down. I have another line. It's like, is this Canadian Invitational or Canini? I don't think it's a real dog show.
No, I think it's definitely made up. I'm gonna go with made up.
Yeah, made for the movie.
Yeah.
But then I do like this is when I finally figured out. I don't think you figured it out yet. This is when I figured out that dogs definitely can't talk to people.
He has the moment where Max has the idea of like, oh, let me enter in and be part of the dog show.
Okay.
Find the criminals. Yeah. And when he's like, oh, the chief is about to have a great idea, right? That's his line he says, and he hops up the desk and does a pose.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, okay. I guess they don't talk to each. I don't know. I'm not buying it yet. I'm not buying that they don't talk to each other.
And we're like reestablishing dogs can definitely talk to pandas. There's a lot of cross-species chatter. So you're like, why can't they just talk to people also? Like I don't know, pet peeve of mine of like, it's like, all right, if we can assume all animals can talk to each other, we should assume that they can also communicate with humans. I don't know.
Yeah, and this creates the obvious setup of hesitant FBI guy and street dog teaming up. Yep. Boom, there you go. And they've got
Hooch.
And they've got to head to Vegas for this Canini dog show.
I guess Canini, yeah.
Whatever, we're gonna go with it. All right, so now Max and Frank are paired up. They got to team up to go to this dog show and do this thing. So what do? They head to Vegas.
Yep, a classic Turner and Hooch, which they proceed to say 8 times maybe during the movie.
Yeah, right?
Like, oh, this is a real regular Turner and Hooch, huh?
Like, okay.
Okie dokie.
Is this the only joke you have?
Yeah, and actually, so, all right, well, I'll talk more about Turner and Hooch later because the movie does. So they're like sitting there, do like the classic buddy cop radio scene where like Will Arnett's sitting there jamming out to some classic rock song that I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
It was, it didn't matter. And then Max like pops the button and it flips to some rap song. Yeah, that I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm blanking.
Yeah, doesn't matter. And do a bunch of like flipping back and forth. And he's like, wait, are you doing that on purpose? And you're like, oh, okay. Again, reaffirming that they can't actually talk to each other. And I'm immediately like, I'm so bought in. I'm like, okay, this is a classic buddy cop scenario. They are Turner and Hooch. I love where this is going. Very engaged. How
does the dog have the pause and knowledge, though, to change a radio station, but they can't talk to each other?
I don't. Yeah, and he's singing along.
It's dog-human communication chaos right now, I think.
Yeah, and I love that the voice of Max is Ludacris because then as soon as they get out of the car, like they stop the car, Will Arnett's freaking out about the dog changing the radio.
Yep.
And you can I think you can hear the hurt in Ludacris's voice when he's like, boy, this guy really doesn't like hip hop. You're like, okay, well,
all right.
Yeah, way to like really put it on the nose there.
Where on the nose?
And then Max just walks away, and Will Arnett's like, "All right, see you later."
Yeah, they have like a little argument, and it's kind of weird because we go back to the idea that the dog cannot talk to him.
Right.
It makes that scene even more weird because they rode together. They had this weird radio station thing, which is weird. If the dog ever did that, I'd be like, "This is weird," right?
Yep. Nope. Into it.
It was all very weird.
Yep.
They get out. They have their moment. Okay, here's their conflict, and then like he goes to throw a hubcap or something, and it fails. And Max is like, I don't chase anything, right?
Yeah, Max doesn't play fetch.
He doesn't play
Appreciate
fetch.
that.
And he just walks away. And it's like you literally just let a Rottweiler just roam in Las Vegas. Like you can't talk. Like it's not like you can talk to humans and be like, "Yeah, my he's being a jerk right now."
Yeah, and like I know you're like I guess you're not supposed to like run after a dog if they're running away, but he wasn't even running. Like you can chase him down a little bit and be like, "Hey, dog, come back here."
He just walked away.
Like Max is clearly more intelligent than most of the human characters in this movie.
Yes.
Like, why wouldn't you just be like, "Hey, dog, stop"? I don't know.
Very strange.
A lot of options there. So
right. We're in Vegas now. There's our heroes are separated.
Yep. We're almost at the Canini. We're getting to the Canini dog pageant festival show
thing. Yeah. And Will Arnett shows up without a dog. The whole plan was obviously that Max be the dog. He shows up.
Well, no. But this is what. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then this is when we meet Natasha Lyonne, right? That's what you're getting at.
Well, Natasha Lyonne's character is Maddie, and she is also a dog groomer but she has a dog that's in the competition, right?
Yep. I had no idea she was in this movie. Looking at it, because I did not look at the cast really ahead of time. I was like, oh, I saw Ludacris and I saw Will Arnett. Great, sign me up. And I was like, oh, she's in this. Great, love it. Like immediately ups the quality quotient like 10 points. And then I love when Will Arnett's just like being a classic dummy. And I'm like, I would have said the same thing in his situation when he like walks in and he meets her and he's like, hey, like, is this the dog show? And she's like, yeah, like, what are you doing here? Like, where's your dog? And he's like, I don't, like, can I borrow one?
Yeah. That's not how this works, idiot.
Yeah, like,
so there is a good parallel though. So, I mean, I don't know. Here's another moment where like we had some good foreshadowing in the beginning. Here's a moment of like human having awkward conversation with lady.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing happens with dog, which we're going to get to shortly, right?
Great point. I think you're giving the authors of this too much credit, but
I think I am too. But I'm trying to figure out, silver linings, I think, right?
Yeah, they almost definitely thought that through all the way through. They were like, oh, you know what? We can shadow this later on.
Yeah.
So then we get to this like sketch. I don't know what it is. I wrote it down. I was like, what is this place? I think I might have missed it. Is it a vet? It's like it looks like a kill shelter. Like it's terrifying. It's a dog prison from the outside.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there in this scene. You might have fallen asleep briefly when we met Luther. Underrated character Luther, who like rolls up tweaking on apparently catnip. We don't know it's catnip until we get into it, but you're like, he's on something. Again, this is a kid's movie. Like, Luther shows up and he's like, he's so fucked up on catnip right now, and he's like, you got the stuff, Max? Like I got some information for you, but like first the catnip. And Max is like, here's a rubber chicken. It's better for you. He's like,
what?
Yeah, you don't remember that scene at all?
I definitely was looking away. I must have been. Yeah.
He hands him a chew toy and he's like, yeah, I don't like this message that Max is pushing. Like, this is an extension of Dare, basic. Like, he's like, hey, telling Luther what to do with his life. Like, what if Luther wants to do catnip forever? Like, maybe that's how it makes him happy.
Yeah. Let him fucking live his life, man.
Let Luther live and die as he pleases.
Yeah, back off, Yeah.
Max giving him a rubber chicken like it's drugs.
Yeah. I mean, he's a cop, so.
Yeah, ridiculous. So then this is again where I'm like, goddamn cops. So then it's like, is it Canadian Invitational or Canini? Because I'm still not sure.
I think we're going to go with Canini because that seems more like canine-ish.
Right. And this is when we meet Felipe, my other favorite character.
Felipe, voiced by the fantastic Stanley Tucci, the Tooch.
Love him. Love the Tooch.
Fuck, the Tooch.
Yeah, I wrote actually, I'm bought in on Felipe. This is turning into a classic because this movie is an all-time classic.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if you had anything else before this line, but I love the line when Felipe's like, nobody makes talking dog movies anymore.
So they say that twice then, don't they?
They say that at least a few times, seemingly.
I must have missed that dialogue because I caught it somewhere else, and we're like, they definitely say like, yeah, they don't make talking dog movies anymore. Yep. It's like they're literally just making fun of, which is great. It's fun. I love that. But yeah, all right, the joke is we're done.
Yep.
Um, but I just thought it was really weird. So how did do we know? So he meets Felipe, who is a champion dog show winner, right?
Right, in dog prison. He's in this dog prison, roaming around, like sees somebody sing. I hear somebody singing. You're like,
Yeah,
oh, he's got a faintly French accent.
French Felipe. Yeah, it's really Felipe, but French, small little. What are those little? I forget what they're called.
Felipe can be French. It's spelled differently. It's got two P's.
Oh right, yeah, Felipe. Oh yeah, okay. But either way, like, so how did Max know to find that? Was there a moment where
He had no idea. He basically just went up and was like, hey, I'm on a mission. I've got to go find a dog show. Like, what's going on? And he's like, oh, that kind of dog shows? The one I was a champion of a few years running until the incident?
that is a great imitation you did there. That's good.
Thank you.
That's good.
I've been really working on my impression of Stanley Tucci doing an impression of a French person.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like that. So he just shows up at this kennel, whatever shelter, finds the show dog who's won a bunch of championships, Felipe here, French Felipe.
Yep.
And I was just like, all of a sudden, he very quickly convinces him to like just help him train.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, that guy's like in a kill shelter. What else is he gonna do? Like I feel like Max is putting Felipe in a tough spot here. You're like, do you want to? Oh, you know something about this? Great. You can either escape with me or like stay here, and God knows what will happen to you.
It's also like Felipe just opens the cage himself, doesn't he?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think he does. It's really weird. It's a very rough transition there.
It's a kids movie. Nothing makes sense.
Well, it's true. It doesn't need to, right?
But then, like I called it out in a few places. I don't think we've gotten to any of the big ones yet. But like, there's so many times where you're like, I don't think kids are going to get this.
No, absolutely not.
Which is something that I think is the mark of a good kids movie. Like when they put plenty of like Easter eggs and stuff in for adults, but I don't know. There was some of that stuff that I don't think adults would get.
All right, so we've got Max. He's still separate from Frank, his FBI buddy.
Yep.
Randomly finds this shelter, finds this old disqualified champion dog show winner.
Yep.
Convinces him to train him to become a champion dog show winner.
Right.
And then they end up just at the next thing, right? They end up at the dog show, the big Vegas Canadian dog show, don't they?
Yes. Yep, exactly.
And they're on like the red carpet, basically, where like all the dogs are being flaunted in. It's like there's people, there's cameras, blah blah blah.
Yep, this is our first Turner and Hooch reference.
There's definitely a Turner Hooch reference right here, and then there's definitely like another. No one makes talking dog movies anymore when like the two dogs are talking to each other. And it's like an interview, like a red carpet interview.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I don't know. It's a
They
lot.
literally just make that joke like 2 minutes ago.
I think so.
Okay.
And then so the thing that I wanted to call out about the Turner and Hooch reference when I mentioned it earlier is here. So this is when Felipe is talking about Turner and Hooch, and he's talking about the movie where he's like, no, you're making the joke wrong because Max calls Will Arnett Hooch, and you're like, no, Hooch is the dog, is what Felipe's saying. But he's like, oh, like then Hooch got typecast after that. He had to be like the bumbling idiot dog. And I was like, wait a second. So in the Show Dogs universe, Turner and Hooch exists. Hooch can't talk to Turner either. So okay, checks out.
Yep.
That makes sense. But Hooch is a at least nationally, if not world renowned actor who's been typecast now as a shitty, stupid dog character. Like in the dog universe, you're like, oh, this is way more complicated than I thought. This all actually tracks. And you're like, wait a second.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, there's a universe inside this universe where like I think Show Dogs takes place in our timeline.
Yeah, I mean, that adds a layer of depth to this very depth-filled film. I never thought about that. Yeah, that's crazy. Okay.
That's what I'm saying. You're going to come around on this. And
then
I
I slowly am. I mean, that's next level right there.
So then right before Max meets Daisy, I know you have a little bit of notes about Max and Daisy's meeting. Dante is the villain dog that pops up, who's Chauncey. So Felipe is the disgraced dog here.
Right.
Apparently went crazy at a competition once, like bit his owner, all kinds of bad news bears.
Yep.
His owner apparently is this guy Chauncey that we get introduced to, who has a new dog, Dante, and they kind of like have a little moment, the three of them, and Dante, this dog, just casually is like, "Oh, like we should put Felipe to sleep."
Yeah.
And you're like, "What?"
Whoa.
Slow your roll. This is a kids movie again.
Yeah. Holy smokes.
Very adult.
Dante voiced by Alan Cumming, by the way, right?
Right. Famed actor.
All 3 lines, all 4 lines. Yeah, that's a bit aggressive, right? To just be like, yeah, when we put you to sleep, dog.
Yeah, like that's I don't know. It's pretty messed up.
I mean, as we've learned from the Fast Facts, this movie had some,
Yeah, exactly. Real questionable elements.
questionable elements.
And then like we briefly meet Karma, the shaggy dog there for a second after Dante is talking. The shaggy dog.
That's Shaquille O'Neal. Shaggy.
Oh wait, that's Shaq's voice. Oh man, I didn't realize. Okay, that makes me way happier. The criminal mastermind, Karma.
I'm more than positive. Yeah, Shaquille O'Neal is Karma.
Perfect. Okay, great. And then he like says some weird Aristotle quote, and I was like, "What?"
And it just disappears. Yeah, I have no idea what's going on. At that point, I was like, I don't know what's happening. Dogs are just showing up, saying things, and like disappearing. I have no idea if they're talking to humans or not.
Yeah. Then you have the awkward dog meeting, right?
Yes. So we have Max meets he has his fumbling moment of meeting a fancy dog lady, right? Daisy.
Yep.
Daisy, whose owner is Maddie.
Right.
Natasha Lyonne's character, who Will Arnett had a fumbling moment with, and then Max has a fumbling moment with her. Kind of weird that dogs having awkward encounter moments. I thought they just sniffed butts and moved on.
Yeah, no, and they're like very, very personified, which I like.
Extremely.
Very relatable.
But this whole scene just felt to me like, I mean, it was definitely like, all right, hey, here's the scene. We're bringing all these dog characters in, and you're setting like the fanciness of this dog show, the Canadian dog show. But yeah, I don't know. It just felt like there was just a lot dropped in, and dogs walking around saying stuff. And I was like, again, I'm still stuck on like, can they talk to humans or not?
Yeah, this scene was really hard to follow. Like there was a lot like you said, there were just too many things happening. And like Will Arnett's still walking around like being the least subtle cop of all time. Like he's just like
FBI agent, please.
Say tomato, you know? And he's just like wandering around being like, if I were committing a crime, where would I be if I were you?
Being that and wanted to do that.
Fellow kids. Like
if you were to buy some exotic animal, like, I don't know, say a panda, where would I do that? It's like, what?
Yeah, it's the best. Love it. And then, so then they all meet up and everyone's pretending that no one can talk to each other. Will Arnett and Natasha Lyonne are being weird, like getting a little romantic, but
I mean, it's not overt, it's not crazy, but okay, you sense a little thing there, you know, and you got the dog and the owner's dogs and then the owners all matching up. Okay, this works out to be nice. But again, this was the moment this was the moment where I was like, I don't think so. It's Leon's character, Arnett, Daisy, and Max are all hanging. Or no, I'm sorry, it wasn't Daisy and Max. It was it was Max and Felipe.
Mm-hmm.
And the two human characters are talking to each other as if like they can't talk to the dogs, or the dogs can't explain to me. Like, at this moment, I was like, they can't talk to each other.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe
no. But yeah, this is when it stuck for you.
Yeah, this is when the landing stuck. And I was like, all right, they can't fucking talk to each other. They can't hear each other. They can't understand what's going on.
By the way,
the rest of the film for me.
This is definitely wildly confusing for any of you listening right now, and it's wildly confusing for us too. Yeah. There's a reason why this scene is the way it is, because then this is also the first time we see the panda in 1,000 years is in this scene.
Oh, like, right. Yeah.
Like, oh wait, who's this? Who's like, you know, like pops in on this like crazy British guy sitting there being a crazy British guy, like doing very British things.
Yeah, he's like, is it where he's making like a sardine sandwich with mustard on it? He cuts it with a sword or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, oh, like gotta take the tube to Big Ben. Like,
what? Big Ben, Parliament, Big Ben.
Yeah. And then, this again, I noted like the baby panda CGI at this point, still super cute. I was like, they must have spent all their CGI budget on baby panda.
Adorable eyes, adorable panda eyes.
Like making the dogs talk does not look nearly as good as it's not terrible. I've seen worse, but
yeah. I'm curious because like I want to get a pet panda now. Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to the cost of what it costs for a panda. We'll talk about that.
Right. What's a panda really worth? And then and then like they cut to Will Arnett and Natasha Lyonne, and they're just like, yeah, like, well, I guess we'll start tomorrow. You're like, wait a second. Like, how many days is this movie?
Right. Like how long are dog shows? Like, are they days long?
Yeah.
Are they just a day? Just get it done with. Like, all right, good looking dog. You win. Move on.
None of this makes any sense. And then just a quick note before we get to the next day. Then they go home that night to which apparently Will Arnett totally fine with adopting Felipe. Like they never really make a big deal about it, but he's like, right. Felipe sleeps in bed with Will Arnett every night after this.
Yeah. Totally fun. Yeah, because there's one throwaway line when Max and Will Arnett finally meet up because that's right. We missed something here.
Something here?
Yeah, when Max is he's on the inside of the show, and Will Arnett's stuck outside, and Max gives him like the bodyguard, like, yeah, he's with me. Which again, that's when I still thought that the dogs could talk to humans, because because the bodyguard literally talks to the dog, and he's like, hey,
he's with you.
He's with you. Like what? Like what? That was a very important point, because that's why I was still confused later on. I was like, oh, I guess they can talk to each other. Like they can talk to humans.
Yeah, they definitely can't. Yeah. And then Will's like, all right, like everyone, like, let's go to bed now. And Felipe's like, ooh, like, Max, so why don't you join us on the bed? And Max is like, no, like, fuck it. I always sleep on the floor.
I'm straight. I'm sleeping on the floor. All right, man. That's cool.
And I was like, as someone who has also slept on a bathroom floor at some point, I don't know if you have, Russ, but
I have. I've slept on kitchen floors, bathroom floors.
I slept in a dumpster once. I don't know if you remember that.
You slept in a dumpster? I did.
No, you did.
I did?
Yeah. We'll talk about that another time.
Is that when I was homeless? I don't even remember anymore.
Possibly. And so I get it. Sleeping on floors is rough. And you're like, why wouldn't you just go sleep on the bed with your boy Felipe?
I don't know, man.
Nothing makes sense.
Nothing makes sense at all anymore. All right, so we're all in Vegas. We got dog show. We got all
day two.
Crazy cast of characters. We got crazy dogs. We got the love interest from dog to humans.
Yep.
We're now, at least on our plane, understanding that the dogs and humans can't talk to each other. Completely changes the movie for me. Makes me a little more questioning it, but whatever. I'll move on.
Makes sense.
So then we jump into they take the next day, right? And it's montage time.
Yeah. Which
love a good montage, but this is not a good montage.
I'm a huge montage guy, and there are too many in this movie.
There are, actually. There's a lot of montages.
I think this is the first one, though. I think this is the official first montage.
Yes.
Complete with, I'm still at this point thinking this isn't a kid's movie. This is like a young adult. Like I don't know. I still enjoy this movie. And then fart joke. And I was like, oh, right. It's a kid's movie.
It's a kid's movie. All the kids are like, oh my God, that's like hilarious. He farted in the water. It's like, oh my God.
Well, and it's like, you waited till I was right behind you to do that, didn't you?
Just like that. He's like, ugh.
Like my Will Arnett.
Yeah, it was pretty good, actually.
Is it as good as my French Stanley Tucci?
I don't know. Your French Tucci is pretty good. French Tucci.
And then right after the fart joke, they do a bikini wax situation.
Yeah, is that a thing to do to dogs for a dog show?
So that was one thing I wondered. Did not look it up because I don't want to know, because it's ruthless.
Do not Google that. Do not Google bikini wax dogs.
No, and again, as soon as the fart joke's done, this brings me back to like, this is not a kid's movie. Like, kids don't know what a bikini wax is.
No, not one bit.
They have no idea. And it's in like the poor Max is screaming in pain. You're like, they didn't cut this.
Yeah. It's like CGI dog torture. It's like, well, PETA's like, man, that's okay. It's not real, but
Worthless. Yeah. And then it cuts to Felipe like dabbing. And you're like, okay, this firmly sets this movie in 2018.
Yeah.
Like, I know exactly what year this came out now.
Oh my God. I just want to take a step back though. Dog shows are fucking weird, aren't they?
Yes, very much. I don't understand.
We may get a lot of hate mail for that. We probably will. We'll probably get a lot of hate mail for a lot of stuff. If any, actually, that'd be fucking. I can't wait to get hate mail. That'd be fantastic. Right?
I'd be excited. Yeah, please send us hate mail. It's thismeetsthat@gmail.com. No punctuation. Just it's.
Oh no, I want
that.
like physical letters. We need to get a set up a PO box somewhere. You know.
Great point.
Like, in like Arizona, so people think we live out there, and it's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, send it to Scruff McGruff, Chicago, Illinois, 60652.
Like, dog shows are fucking weird. They're on par with like weirdness of like the. I'm not even gonna say it. Except
so it's funny that you say that because I agree, and then I also wrote, I'm glad they made this more like a realistic dog show. I was like, they kept the Rottweilers together. They like made it about categories. Like I feel like whoever did the consulting, like somebody out of the $5.5 million that they spent making this movie, like you said, so much of it went to animal training, and probably half of it went to like a consultant who was like, let's make this like a real dog show.
Real dog show. But then I have questions about, is this really what happens in dog shows? Because there's more to it. So we get through the montage, right? And then we get to like the little more human interaction. I don't know if you got more, but we get human interaction here between Natasha Lyonne's character and Felipe.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because she does like hey, this is how you walk the dog down the whatever, into the dog show. Fucking
the dog aisle. Yeah.
Sure. The dog aisle to the lion's den.
Yep.
And she does it, and it gets to the very end, and it's like such a weird, like, so Felipe is like, yeah, this is how you do, and this is how you do these. And then it does like this weird flip, and I'm like, what? What a waste of CG. Why would the dog do a flip? And by the way, this thing is really doing this. Wouldn't any of the humans be like, what the fuck? You just did a flip.
I think they reused probably some of those animations across a bunch of places in the movie, and they were probably like, oh, we got to get more use out of this.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
This cost us $15,000 to shoot this scene. We gotta use it more than once.
So then you have Arnett, Frank, aka Frank, and Max go up. They give it a shot, and they have their little moment of attack, right? Where they fuck it up, and Max attacks Frank, basically bites on his pants.
Right.
And they fall, and they're like, "Oh, this is gonna be funny. You're gonna totally fail at this." Yeah. And then they go in.
Well, the whole time. So meanwhile, in the background, there's also a weird, creepy photographer taking pictures.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That you can see, and you're like, oh wait, I'm intrigued by that guy. Like, wait a second, is this movie gonna have twists? Like,
with his extremely long lens.
Yeah, I wrote intrigued by the weirdo taking pictures. Good storytelling.
Yeah. Long lens to get those shots that he doesn't need that lens for. But yeah.
Yeah. So then you're right. They're about to walk into the actual competition here, right? When Max is facing up against those other Rottweilers.
Yeah. So it's a Rottweiler category, as you spoke before, right?
Yeah.
They all look the same, and he's doing some trash talking, basically.
Yeah, he's he's unintentional. I mean, it's unintentional and intentional. He's not intentionally winning, but he's intentionally trying to like reunite these dogs with their family. Like he's like they make a huge deal ahead of time about him and Will Arnett being like, oh, like don't those dogs, or not him and Will Arnett, him and Felipe, they're like, don't those guys look familiar? And he's like, oh yeah, you seen one Rottweiler, you've seen them all, you know?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, like those guys all look kind of the same. And then he's like, yeah, where were you born? And does the whole like, where were you born? Where were you born? What was your birthday?
Yeah.
And all the dogs are like, wait a second, we're brothers?
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh my God, where was that? This other dog's like, oh, I was also born in wherever. And they're like, Mom.
Yeah. It was such a weird I mean, but was that like? But what would they say before that? Like those four dogs, weren't they talking about their mom being like they didn't know it was their mom, right?
No, they didn't. They were talking. You mean they were talking about that dog that turned out to be their mom? Yeah, yeah, yeah. They were like picking. They were like, oh, like that dumb dog.
Yeah, and
Competition.
like the whole thing just felt a little like a lowbrow kind of like. I mean, there was a little bit of an inbred joke there too, because like all the dogs were like 2 of the 3 dogs were Southern, weren't they?
Oh, they made a very explicit inbreeding joke later, but yes.
That's like 1 of 2 inbreeding jokes. So yeah, okay, yeah, all right.
Made for kids. Made for kids.
Made for kids, right?
Yeah, and like I'm glad that we didn't like they just played it for laughs and like we didn't have to think too much about it. But like all those dogs discovering that they were brothers and that their mother like that's really fucked up. Like,
yeah,
they've been separated from their families their whole lives, and all of a sudden they're like, oh my god, like we have brothers and sisters and mothers, and like what a world. It was really messed up, and then like glossed over immediately. We never saw those dogs again.
Nope, gone. Whatever. You're nothing. So then they all go. So Max is basically egging them on,
Right.
and they all figure it out. They're all related, and then they go and after the mom dog, whatever. And I guess that is how you because they're not controlled, so they lose. So Max wins because he's just standing there.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Nailed it.
He gets away with a little, with a little bit of a move there,
Yeah, and then plays it off as a nice guy. I'm like, oh well, I just really wanted to see that family reunited. And you're like,
yeah,
well, fuck you won,
right? I mean, that's a little bit of street. It's a street move right there. I respect it. So
fair enough.
We're back.
And we're back. Yes, I think we should keep those in for someday when we have ads. Like, pretend there was an ad break, listeners.
Do it again.
We need to do better. We need to do a better job of engaging the listeners. Listeners, pretend there was an ad break, and we're back.
Here we are. So their first big win off of some street trash talk from Max to the other Rottweilers.
Huge.
Letting them all know that they're basically inbred Southerners. That's basically what that came down to.
Sure.
That was that joke.
You were born in Kentucky too? No way. I was born in Kentucky.
Yeah, okay. I'm a mutt of many mysteries.
Love it. Great line. So much alliteration. I really like I think we call it out. I don't know. I feel like I called it out in every episode that we've done this season. I'm breaking our podcast up into seasons. I just decided.
I love it.
Cool. Yes. Season 1 here. Every episode so far, basically.
We'll see how that goes. The season's short.
Yeah. See if we edit that out or not. Season 1 so far, every episode I've been like, it's almost like somebody read a book called like Writing a Movie for Dummies. and then wrote the movie based on that because they're like, oh, make sure you allude to things and then call them back later. You're like, okay, all right, we'll just say the same line twice. That counts, right?
Build, set up, payoff, but when you do it a little too much, just kind of goes,
Yeah. So then it cuts from there to they're like, okay, guys, like the secret cool after party where all this shady shit. This is the lead that we were talking about earlier. Right. Frank gets the lead.
First dog show thing, tournament round, whatever is over.
Yep.
And now we're in the post party.
Right. Where Frank gets the lead, like, oh, if you're looking for some illicit animal sales, shit's going down tonight in an abandoned warehouse outside of town. And you're like, boom. Oh, everything awesome happens at an abandoned warehouse outside of town. So that's when we roll up and Max and Felipe are talking. And Felipe is like, I don't know, Max, what kind of party's at an abandoned warehouse? And I'm like, the best kind of parties. Like, fuck man. You.
Yeah, seriously, like the best kind of parties happen there. So hold on one second. Maybe this is something, or maybe my brain logic here is off. So hold on. The abandoned warehouse is where the panda is, right?
Yep.
Okay. Where is this abandoned warehouse? Did they actually say it's like?
They said on the outskirts of town.
Okay. That's great because there is a massive time shift gaffe, I think, later on in this movie.
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised by that.
But we'll move on.
Yeah, and to make you feel better, this is when I like officially, I know I had a couple of times earlier where I was like, all right, they can't communicate, right? This is when I officially knew because they said it explicitly. This is when Max says a couple lines, and then Will Arnett goes, "Why am I talking to a dog?" And I go, "Oh, okay, for sure this time."
I'm positive, or am I? Yeah, no. They can't talk to dogs. Humans and dogs can't talk to each other.
Yeah, and we haven't mentioned it yet, but can we talk about Will Arnett's like fake, so Frank the character, his like fake name, Wellington Upstill?
It's pretty fucking great. I mean,
why? Like, why would you do that?
I don't know, but it's so over the top and it's very dog show. That's a dog show name, man. Like,
Yeah.
Of course you want to go highfalutin, right?
I
Wellington.
guess you're right. I didn't catch it the first few because I seemingly they said it a bunch before now. This is the first time when they said it, and I was like, "Wait, what? Wellington Upstill? That's."
I didn't catch it even once. So yeah, you're a better man than I, because that's a great name.
Fair enough. So also in this scene, like this is when Will Arnett meets the actual bad guy.
Oh, right. Well, does he? Yes.
Yeah. What's that guy's name? We should have planned this.
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
Nope, we're gonna let this roll. This is fine. It's okay. It's not him. It's not Andy Beckwith.
No.
It's not the guy who does like the weird forced breeding thing.
It's definitely not Sprinkles.
Not even in the movie. Where is he?
Is it like? No, I was like, there's a name.
Yeah.
Senor Gabriel.
Yeah.
Gabrielle. Yeah. Okay. So Senor Gabriel. This is the first time Will Arnett meets him, and they're chatting, and Will Arnett's like, "Where did you say you were from?" And he goes, "Here and there." I was like, "What a great line!"
Like he says that to someone, like here and there, like what? Clearly, you're a bad guy because no one answers a question like that. With that's ambiguity.
Yeah, really good writing. And then, so like, this is when I know you're next. This is when you started having notes on this part. We're talking about the pool scenario. So Max is like talking to Felipe, and he's like, "Oh, what's that? Like, why are there no dogs in the pool? Like, that's crazy. It's a hot night. Why wouldn't we all party in the pool?"
Well, hold on though. Before that though, Max sees the four or five shady dudes who look like they're shady, who look like they're the guys up talking in a room. Remember that?
Oh, I thought that happened like an hour ago. Oh, wait. Oh,
no.
Wait. Oh, I thought that happened after they started it was after he was wet. He got real wet in the pool.
That was his distraction because he needed to create a distraction.
Yeah. Yes.
So he needed to create.
Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think happened.
Yeah, right. So he somehow just sees four sketchy looking dudes hanging out. There's like two guys we've never been introduced to. There's two bodyguards by the doors, and he's like, "Oh, there's a bodyguard by the door. There's a bodyguard by the door." And there's two guys we've never been introduced to yet. They look just shady, whatever they're supposed to. Then there's like Dante's owner. And then that's it, right? And they're all chatting in a room, and he's up there, and he's like, "Oh, I need to get up there and hear that conversation. I need to." Which, by the way, again, this is a problem. How can a dog who doesn't speak human language?
Oh, he does though, yeah. So that's the thing. It comes up later.
But he says
the dogs speak human, but the humans can't speak dog.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so he says like, "Oh, I need to create a distraction so I can get up there because the two bodyguards, right?" And he's like, "Oh, the pool, there's water, whatever." And he jumps in and he creates this whole dog uprising to be like, "Man, you know what? Fuck it, let's go in the pool, let's do it."
Okay, so we are on the same page then. I thought you were getting to the next part when he actually goes up to that room with the crowd.
No.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, totally spot on. Sees those guys. He's like, "We got to create a distraction. Why aren't we all swimming in this pool? Let's fucking go swim in this pool right now."
Yep.
And then like the mixing was terrible. The audio mixing on this movie, it sounds. I mean, you had the subtitles on for probably at some point because I know you had the audio descriptors on and all kinds of stuff. And I wish I did because I couldn't hear anything. This is when all the celebrity dogs I feel like showed up. There's like every celebrity that we haven't talked about so far is now a voice of someone, and they're all like, "Wait a second, those guys are in the pool. We should get in the pool."
We're all jumping in.
Yeah. And we're running through this and I can't hear anything any of them are saying because there's
Just
blaring music.
fucking chaos. It's chaos on new proportions that just make no sense whatsoever.
Yep. And that's when Max then goes up to the room.
Right, because the two bodyguards, for some fucking reason, think they need to remove themselves from this very important, sketchy conversation to go deal with a bunch of dogs jumping in a pool.
Yeah, which I don't know if this is a movie mistake or not, but as soon as Max goes up to that room, he looks dry as the desert.
I was gonna call that out, but he's like in the pool. He comes out of the pool. He's
real wet,
and then he just shows up at the top of the stairs, like, and he's dry
as a bone.
Drier than dry.
Yep.
So
keep that in.
I was trying to think of something like, I don't know what's drier than dry.
Well, I was gonna say like drier than Ben Shapiro's wife, but
wow. I need to edit that one out. Oh my God.
You heard about all that, right?
Yeah. We'll leave that in. Fuck it. Why not? No one's listening. So, all right. So he goes up. The bodyguards are gone, which I don't get why because the bodyguards are in the room, and all he does, he goes up to the room, he puts his ear to the door, and that's it. He's a dog who can't communicate to humans, but he can understand what they're saying.
Right. And dogs have particularly good hearing. So I think this checks out. This scene makes sense.
This one makes yeah. All right. Okay, I'll buy that.
The most scientifically sound scene we've had so far.
I'm gonna lean into that a little bit, and then the criminals inside decide that okay, conversation's over, which I don't know how he didn't hear because he's whatever. Anyways,
right.
They open a door. He stumbles into the room, has an awkward moment with all the bad guys or supposed bad guys. And they're like, what? Why is this dog in here? Maybe he was listening to our conversation. Maybe he can understand our conversation. We should probably kill him.
Yep.
That was a look on their faces, which makes no sense.
Agreed.
And he's like freaking out. He's like, oh man, I gotta come up with something, Max. And he decides to go with the old do in his eyes and mouth, and he's just doing stupid stuff and starts dragging his ass across the floor.
Yeah, I wanted it to be like a nice Benny Hill moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it seemed like to me. Because like I think the CGI in this scene, like this whole scene in general, I feel like the CGI was particularly egregious. Like this was the first time, because it was at some point in the scene, in the middle of this, the panda starts like wandering around the room there, and like that's when the CGI starts getting bad. When you're like, oh, the panda actually looks like shit now, and also Max, like his like eyes are bugging out of his head while he's like sliding around on the floor, and his tongue's like lolling out really unnaturally, and you're like, wait a second.
It basically looked like Scooby-Doo 2002 CGI. They're just like, let's just grab that and just whatever. Don't worry about it. It's kids. They don't care. They don't.
Yeah. And then the punchline of that, because that like this is his distraction, right, to get those guys like off his case. The punchline to that, they're just like, inbreeding, huh?
Yeah.
You're like, wait, that's not a joke.
Not a joke at all.
Yeah, so ruthless. So then like this when they cut back to the panda who's like running around in the bad CGI, and the panda's like getting on the carousel, and which is the cutest thing of all time.
Did we cover the fact that the panda escaped from the old English guy?
Oh, this is happening now. No, we haven't talked about it yet. This is happening like concurrently with what we're talking about, right?
Right. Yeah. So dog dragging his ass on the panda. So this is where I gotta jump back here.
Right.
So the panda was in a cage in a warehouse outside of town. Right. How did the panda escape and all of a sudden is now in the dog show area?
No. This is the after party at the warehouse outside of town. Remember, like what kind of parties happen in abandoned warehouses? This is that whole scene. Yeah.
So the after party was at the abandoned warehouse where the panda was being held.
Exactly.
That threw me off because I was like, wait, what? What is going on here? Like, okay.
No, it makes perfect sense, Russ. It's a very well written movie.
I guess kids could probably figure this out better than I could, but
Possibly.
totally plausible too.
Yeah. So the panda escapes from his cage, and the British guy's like, "Oi, soccer and bangers and mash," and then like runs around and like trying to chase the panda. The panda gets on the carousel. It's the cutest damn thing of all time.
It is pretty adorable.
And then it cuts to Max trying to run a military operation here. He's like, report immediately to your CO. We haven't mentioned him, I don't think, but we talked about Sprinkles. Yeah. Like Sprinkles is a key factor in this movie. All 3 lines of him. And this is one of them when he's like talking to him and he's like, report to your CEO. And he's like, oh yeah, like I'm so excited. This is like the first time I've been in a military operation. Like, wait, what? You're like, what? This isn't written for kids at all. Like they definitely don't know what a CO is. Most of the adults listening don't know that CO stands for commanding officer. Like that's not a thing. Yeah. And then, so then the photographer, the mystery photographer from earlier pops up. The perfect amount of creep.
Yeah. With the super long lens yet again. Yep.
Now, can you tell me what kind of dog Persephone was? We'll talk the RuPaul dog.
Absolutely. No clue what that dog was.
Yeah. And I think he said, my old English whippy wow wow. So maybe he's doing a chihuahua thing like you.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. Whippy wow wow.
I don't know. I really can't say. But like terrible. The terrible CGI on this dog. I mean, I know it's a real dog, but also yikes.
It kind of downgrades a little bit here at this moment, right? But so we get introduced to the RuPaul dog, which is important.
Right.
But not really.
Not really.
It's like not important at all in any way or fashion until post credits, basically.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing though. They cut those creepy touching dog junk scenes because they were like, oh, can you imagine the message we're sending our kids here? This is a weird non-consent thing where he's like, oh, like we should breed our puppies together. And you're like, can you imagine how glorious their puppies would be?
Right. The RuPaul dog owner is kind of creepy.
Yeah.
And he wants to breed the English RuPaul voiced dog with Max.
Yeah, and like all the weird breeding stuff in this movie is like extra weird because the dogs are sentient. like Will Arnett is like, oh shit, my dog doesn't want. He literally says, my dog doesn't want to do it, and the creepy photographer literally says, what do you care what your dog wants? And you're like, wait, there's a crazy lesson here about consent.
Like what?
Yeah, that I really appreciate. Like, or I'm like, oh, I'm glad we're teaching kids like this is the opposite of earlier, I guess. Maybe that's what it is. Like, this is the opposite. We're like, oh, you should teach your kids bodily autonomy.
Right.
Like you have the right to say no.
Yes. Like if you feel uncomfortable saying no, but yeah, that's a really weird scene. It was just all weirdly out of place. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that was fucked up. But that was a moment that's where like Will Arnett's character Frank and the dog actually connect, right? Because like dog looks up at him, he's like, whining like no, and he looks at him, he's like, all right, I got you, bud. And he's like, no. But it was like,
I don't want to have sex with that dog.
Is this the moment? So you tell me this is the moment where their characters connect is over like forced breeding? Like,
yeah, it's fucked up. It's a really messed up movie, dude.
It really actually is. So so we're gonna move on from that because that's a little dark.
No, but speaking of messed up, then the guy catches the panda. he's like, oh, got the panda now, and he like walks up to this like sketchy dark room full of.
Goes into the back of the warehouse, the back of the warehouse where the after party is, into the warehouse where he's been hanging out the entire time with his panda, literally a doorway away from after party.
Yep.
I don't get this. I don't get that. Anyway,
nothing makes sense. Hey folks, Jared here. Show Dogs was a lot of fun, and as you can tell, but too much for one episode, so we decided to split this one up into 2 parts.
Part 2 will be coming out on Thursday, so stay tuned whenever you get your podcast, and we'll be in your ears then.
In the meantime, you can follow us on Instagram at It's This Meets That, and ITMT Pod on Twitter.
Or if you're feeling old-fashioned, send us an email at itsthismeetsthat@gmail.com. As always, you can find all our episodes at itsthismeetsthat.com. Thanks for listening.